retirement does not mean your brain stops working. Your brain is still very active and still has a whole lot more to offer. But you need to be able to say that, yes, I am willing to engage the brain. I'm willing to do something beyond what I've done at my 9-to-5 job for the last 20 or 30 years, as the case may be. So I'm going to quickly now talk about the 3 types of retirees I've personally come to see, the 3 different types of retirees. First of all, I'm going to move quickly because of time, so pardon me if I seem to be in a bit of rush. We want to go to work within a specific time. So I can give my colleague Tobore, who is very ready and loaded to say a whole lot. I can give her time to come in and say the bigger part of of the message we have today. So there are 3 types of retirees. When people go into retirement, they often fall into 3 major categories. One, we have the redundant retiree, like I just mentioned. This is the retiree who believes, because I'm retired, it means I have nothing else to offer. Because I'm retired, I'm not supposed to do any other work. Because I'm retired, I can't do anything else. All I have to do is sit back, wait for my pension every month, read newspapers, just stay alive for as long as I am, trying to stay healthy. And often, redundant retirees, they become, sorry to say, a nuisance to people around them because they're often bored, they have nothing doing. So they look for anything around them, they just get people. They just disturb people all around. Relatives and all of that. Children especially often are the ones who get to bear a lot of their redundancy. So there's the category of the retiree who is redundant. He's just redundant. He's not doing anything. He's not working on anything. He's believed he has nothing else to offer. It's over. He's done. I'll just live till I die. That's one category. And then we have the active retiree. This is a retiree that's a step ahead of the redundant retiree. The active retiree believes, I can't just sit down and do nothing. I can't sit down, I need to do something, I need to be active. So he goes about and is just active. But the sole purpose of whatever he does is just to be active. You often see the active retirees in church events. If he's a Christian, he becomes very involved in church events, he becomes very involved in taking up roles in church, or in the mosque, as the case may be, becomes very involved in community services, becomes very involved in non-profit organization. He joins various kinds of clubs. I wouldn't want to mention names. He's a part of all these different kinds of clubs because he just wants to be active. Even to an extent, an active retiree might even set up a business. Like a practical example I will share. I had a client say 2-3 years ago, who went into retirement, and then we came up with an idea. I had a discussion with his son, and we come up with the idea to set up a business for him. And he was excited about it. We went through the process, we set up the business, we chose something he would like to do, we set up the business. It took me about 2 months or so, or 3 months, to understand that this man wasn't so interested in the business making profits. He was just interested that he had somewhere to go. He was just interested that he was active. He had an office to go to. He had 2 or 3 staff he could talk to. He was not interested in, are we making profits? Is the business growing? He wasn't interested in any of that. When the business is not doing fine, and we're putting forward to say, you need to do this, do and he's not so interested. Just don't worry, it's okay, we'll go on like that. He's just an active retiree. He just wants to stay active. He just wants to be out there. So that's the active retiree. He often has no clear target. He often has nothing he's working towards. He's just been active. He knows he cannot be redundant. He can't afford to be redundant, so he's just active. But then we have the productive retiree, who is the retiree we're talking about today. The productive retiree is the one who has gone into retirement with a clear plan. He wants to do something even in retirement. He wants to make impact in retirement. He wants to produce certain things. He wants to achieve, if possible, much more than he had achieved in his 9-to-5 years. So the productive retiree often has a plan. It goes beyond. His activities are lined up towards clear goals. His reason for setting up a business or being in any of this non-profit organization is not just for activity's sake, but it's because he has a passion, he has something he wants to achieve. He has a few years, probably saying within the next 5-10 years, I need to achieve X, Y, Z so that I can make this level of impact. So the productive retiree has a different mindset from the redundant retiree or from the active retiree. The active retiree and the redundant retiree have almost similar mindsets, where They're not looking forward to doing anything much in retirement. They believe so much that retirement is just to lay back and probably sit down on the chair with a pina colada in your hand all year long, doing nothing, and just saying, I'm retired now. I've suffered for the last 30 years. It's time for me to just relax. That can work for a few years or a few months. After a few months, you really would begin to say, I can't stay like this, especially if you were pretty active in your 9 to 5. So it is important that we become a productive retiree. So the big question is, how do I then become a productive retiree? How do I go about, especially if I'm not yet in retirement, I'm going to go into retirement in a year or 2 or 3. How do I end up becoming a productive retiree? So that's what I'm going to be talking about next, in the line of setting up the business that enables you to be productive in retirement. So there are 3 core pathways for someone who wants to go into retirement to choose from when it comes to, or to follow, when it comes to deciding what you want to do in retirement. First of all, like I earlier said, you must have developed the right mindset. You must have decided that you want to be a productive retiree. You don't just want to be active or redundant. So you have decided now, I believe you're saying, you know what, I want to be a productive retiree when I go into retirement. So there are 3 core pathways that you can follow that will enable you become a productive retiree when you go into retirement. And they are what I call the 2 P's, the 2 E's, and the unique opportunities. And all of these are tied into the concept that you want to set up a business in retirement. Either of these ways are the ways you can go into and then follow through. A combination of these pathways will eventually answer your question of how you need to be able to go into setting up a proper business in retirement. There are 3 core pathways to follow. So the 2 P's, the 2 E's, and the unique opportunity. So I'm going to talk about, first of all, the 2 P's, which happens to be my favorite pathways among the 3 pathways. If you want to set up a business when you go into retirement, it is very essential that you are going into a business that aligns with your passion and your purpose. Many people do not understand this. Many people take this lightly. Many people take this for granted and often miss it and often pay the price of living an unfulfilled life, even till they get to their grave. Retirement is an opportunity, is rather it's another opportunity, considering that most of us often have done jobs for the last 10, 20, 30 years that did not align with our passion and purpose. So retirement gives you another chance or a second opportunity to say, you know what, this time I'm going to do something that I'm passionate about. I'm going to do something that aligns with my purpose, because knowing that your purpose and your passion are 2 key factors that determines who you are as an individual. So when you deny these 2 factors in deciding what you want to do, you are practically saying you are denying who you are till you go to your grave. So if you spend the last 10 years working a job that's majorly just pay the bills, it has nothing to do with your passion, it has nothing to do with your purpose, you cannot then afford to go into retirement and then set up a business that doesn't align with your passion and your purpose. Especially because as you go, when you set up a business, even when you're much younger, passion is energy and fuel for the journey of setting up and building a business. So if you're going to retire at the age of 60, you're not as strong as you used to be. You need all the energy reserve you can get, mentally, physically, and all of that. If you then set up a business that aligns with your passion, you'll be tapping into an almost unlimited source of energy. Passion keeps you going when nothing else is working. Passion keeps you productive when nothing else is working. Passion makes a way when nothing else is working. So when considering what line of business to go into in retirement, it is crucial at this stage that if you've not, you take the needed time, especially if you retire the first few months. I would advise the first few months you're taking to, you know what, relieve yourself, take some rest from the 9 to 5 for the last 10, 20, 30 years. The first few months, part of your relaxing from the stress of 9 to 5 should be, you should also take that time to do what? To discover what you're passionate about and what your life's purpose is. If you're not yet in retirement, now is a good time to begin to ask yourself these questions of what are my passions, what's my purpose? So it's important that this is one of the pathways that whatever business idea you're going to pursue in retirement should align with your passion and your purpose. So this is the first two P's, the first pathway you need to follow, which is the two P's. Next is the two E's. Sorry, the three E's, which speaks of your exposure, your experience, and your expertise. You know, you've been working a certain job, you've been working in a certain sector for a while, and now you're living paid employment. You definitely would have gathered some experience and have expertise in some area. You definitely had some exposure in whatever. We're not even going in line with your job, but you've been exposed to certain things. So this is a pathway to consider when you want to set up a business, when you want to decide what business should I go into. You need to be able to consider your experience, your expertise, because often the more experience and the more expertise you have in an area, the more likely are your chances of doing well in that business. Statistics are shown in Nigeria that the major reasons why most businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years in Nigeria is not the lack of funding, but it's often the lack of business expertise by business owners. A lot of people go into business with a try and error mindset, especially in Nigeria. People go into business hoping that it will succeed. They hope that it will succeed, but hope is not a strategy and it often doesn't work. So if you set up a business that is not too far from your area of experience and expertise, you have an added advantage and the likelihood of succeeding is higher. And then the last pathway among the three ways is what I call the unique opportunity. In this case, we're talking of things like franchise, a dealership, where you have an opportunity or you have an information about a specific franchise that wants to come into the country, or a specific franchise that's already doing well. And you're saying, I want to buy into that. I want to set up a business with this franchise, or you want to buy into a dealership, or you want to be the country rep for a certain organization. So these are what I call the unique opportunity. Often these things are not under your control completely. Often these kind of opportunities do not align with your passion and your purpose. Often you do not have experience or expertise in this area. So for me, this is often the last or the least of my favorite options in these three pathways. Most people will jump at this because at the first face value, they think it means, oh, it's a business opportunity. I can quickly get a franchise. They will train me. I'll jump into it and I'll make money and I'm good. But when you jump in, you find out it's not as simple as A and B. It's a bit more complex, especially when you are in retirement. If you start off a business that doesn't pick off quickly, you can quickly give up on it because you no longer have sometimes the mental capacity or the mental strength or the physical energy to go all the length. So you do not want to go into businesses that just have opportunities that can quickly fade away. So you buy a franchise from a certain organization with the hope that it will do well. And then last minute, 1 year, 3 years, the fruits of the franchise is not selling and you're left high and dry. So for me, this is my list of the opportunities, my list of the favorite in terms of the three pathways that you can follow. My favorite among the pathways is, first of all, getting a business that aligns with your purpose and your passion. Again, like I mentioned earlier, because you are now going into retirement, you have a second chance of living a fulfilled life. So whatever you are going to do, ensure it aligns with your purpose and your passion. And then next to that is the experience and expertise. If you do have experience concerning in a specific business area on a specific sector, your chances of succeeding and being fulfilled is higher than when you take a unique opportunity that you have no experience with. It doesn't align with your passion in any way, and you just go in open and believing it will turn out good. So I want to then quickly talk about the combination of these pathways. You need to be able to combine these pathways when you're deciding what business or what idea you want to pursue. Of all of this, the best pathway is where you can get a unique business opportunity that aligns with your purpose and your passion in an area where you have experience and expertise. This is the best. If you can get this, I'm telling you, grab it with all your hands and shoot for it. This is the kind of opportunity that you can take early retirement for, where a unique business opportunity that does aligns with your passion and it's in an area where you have experience and expertise. Your chances of succeeding at this is almost 100% because you're going to passionately follow it. You're experienced in it. What would have taken you years may even take you months because it's an area where it's your passion, it's your purpose. It's an area where you have experience. But truth be said, in the real world, you often don't get this kind of opportunity. I'll be very frank. It is rare to get where you see a business opportunity that aligns with your passion and your purpose, and it's in an area where you have experience and expertise. Should be said, it is very rare. But if you do get it, once in a while, it can happen to some of us. If you do get it, please jump at it. The next best option for me, if you cannot get that, is then to get an idea or a business to pursue that aligns with your purpose and passion in an area where you have experience and expertise. This is what is more obtainable for most of us, considering that we've been in paid employment for a number of years and doing jobs that do not actually align with our passion or purpose, but we did it for the reason of being able to make good money and pay the bills, which is understandable. So what we likely will get is getting an idea that aligns with your passion and purpose. But this is then possible if early enough you begin to take the time to become familiar with your passions and with your purpose. I've had the opportunity to sit down with clients who have left paid employment, and one of their biggest challenge, they don't even know what their passion is. They don't even know what they're passionate about. They don't even know what their life purpose is. And they've spent 20, 30, even more years in paid employment. One of the reasons why I'm holding this kind of training, that you start early, that if you've not gone into retirement yet, now is a good time to begin to understand. Because as you understand your passion and your purpose, you then can look at how to plug it into the industry that your passion and purpose can function in, or into a product or a business idea that your passion and your purpose aligns with. Where most people miss it when it comes to passion and purpose is that they do not understand that their passion and purpose falls within a certain industry. I can make bold to tell you that whatever your passion or your life's purpose is, it will definitely plug into a certain industry. So even if in case you find out that what you're passionate about doesn't plug into any industry, fantastic. Probably it's an opportunity for you to invent a whole new industry altogether. Like we see what Alibaba did, Alibaba the comedian. Alibaba took the comedy to the next level. Today, a lot of young people are making millions from that industry alone. From the comedy industry, it is now a multi-million industry. So if you do not have an industry, you cannot identify an industry where your passion connects into, maybe it's time to invent an industry. But ultimately, your passion or your purpose often connects into a specific industry. The issue often is people do not take the time to understand it, to discover it, and to align with it. So the next best option, like I said, is an idea that aligns with your purpose and your passion in an area you have experience and expertise. For me, then following the next best option is an idea that aligns with your purpose and passion. I cannot say this enough. It is essential that at this stage you're going into retirement, whatever business, whatever, even if it's a non-profit organization you want to set up, whatever you are setting up, ensure it aligns with your passion and your purpose. It saves you a lot of stress. It gives you energy, it gives you fuel for the journey. The next 10, 20, 30 years of your life, if you retire at 60, probably you won't live beyond 30 years more, 90, or maybe 20 years more. But you want to make that 10, 20, 30 years more worth all the time. You can't sit back and just while away all of that time. So it is essential that your passion and your purpose, you carry it along. You will enjoy oneness. You will enjoy alignment. You will get a lot of strength. You will get ideas that you never even thought possible. You would go places. Doors will open up to you. Nature will open things up to you because that's what you're created for. Opportunities you never thought possible will look for you because you have aligned yourself in the area of your passion and your purpose. Every man that I've seen that is passionate about what he does often gets open doors. When you're passionate about what, even when you're looking for funding for a specific business, if you're passionate enough, you not only will get that funding, you will get way more than what you bargained for. So it is essential that whatever business you're going to go into now in retirement should align with your passion and your purpose. And of course, there are many, you could sit down and do the calculation of the 3 pathways and see which you best would prefer to work with. But these for me are my favorite combination. The first best is a unique business opportunity that aligns with your purpose and passion in an area where you have experience and expertise. The next best option for me is an idea that aligns with your passion and purpose that is in an area where you have experience and expertise, followed by an idea that strictly aligns with your passion and your purpose. And then a unique business opportunity that aligns with your area of expertise and experience, or unique business opportunity that aligns with your passion and your purpose. The most important underlying factor in all of them is that you must ensure that your purpose and your passion are not given the backbench, are not given the backseat. You not put them at the back of your mind. As often we say, I will keep it at the back of my mind. You often put them at the forefront and ensure that as you decide, as you ponder, as you make up your mind, and if you're 1 to 3 years away from retirement, you should be on a daily basis engaged in asking yourself questions on what will I be doing as I go into retirement. Do not be afraid to ask those questions. Often people avoid asking those questions because of the uncertainties, because of the fears, because of the concerns. So people just avoid it. Whether you ask it or not, the retirement time will come. Even if you don't live willingly, the organization will at some point peacefully, joyfully tell you, you have done well, please come and go. Even if you say, I have $1 million to still offer, they'll tell you you have done enough. So it is for your own sake that you begin to actively engage that question and be able to have answers early enough so that you can even decide to pick up an early retirement because your retirement moving very quickly. These are some of the questions that are very essential that you ask. It is important that you ask these questions. Questions are one of the most powerful tools that we have in life, but often because they are free and they seem simple, we often don't use them. You must make the habit as you are close to retirement to ask the right and crucial questions. The questions that give you concerns, the questions that make your heart beat increase. You must ask those questions and follow through till you get the answers. The challenge often is when people think of retirement, and even when they do not go. Some of these questions you cannot answer from your seat in the office or from the comfort of your office seat. Some of these questions you might need to engage experts. Some of these questions you might need to go online, but it is important that you ask these questions because it begins to take you on the journey of self-discovery, on the journey of true fulfillment, of the journey of actually having a plan for a productive life in retirement. Excuse me. So, what am I truly passionate about? I don't know if you've ever asked yourself these questions. It's easy to say, these are all just motivational talk, this kind of cross questions. But trust me, I can tell you, take it from me, I have put together several businesses. I've worked with several individuals who want to start businesses. I am working with a lot more even now. I can tell you, both people in retirement who are even close to retirement. I'm working with a lot more. And this is a very crucial question. So it is very important that you ask it early enough, not when you've gone into retirement. It is crucial that you ask it before you go because it will begin to influence your decision. It will begin to influence what you say yes and what you say no to. So what am I truly passionate about? This question in particular may take days, weeks, or even months for you to get the answers. You may need to get more information. You may need to read up. You may need to sit with a consultant or a counselor, as the case may be, but ultimately you need to get a clear picture because what you're passionate about is often a pointer to your life's purpose. What you're passionate about is often a pointer to your life's purpose. I've seen people come to me and they say, this whole purpose thing, I don't even know how to do it. Someone once told me, I don't have a purpose, Seth. Me also the same purpose, I don't have a life's purpose. I say, no, it's not possible. People don't create their purpose. You discover your purpose. We have a very purpose-driven creator. So he never made anybody without a purpose. The only challenge is most people cannot or are not yet able to discover their purpose. So understanding your passion is a good step to begin to understand or know what your purpose is, because whatever you are passionate about is often a pointer. So for example, if I'm very passionate about music, it's a pointer that I likely have a purpose in the music industry. If I'm very passionate about baking, food, and all of that, putting things together, arranging things, it's very possible I have a purpose in the event industry. So it is essential that as you understand your passions and it begins to point you in that direction, look at what it is saying to you in terms of your purpose and what industry can it move you into. Because whatever your passion or your life purpose is, it must connect into a specific industry under which you can set up a business, under which you can develop a product, under which you can run and be productive in retirement. So, and then if you do have an idea already, some people are in retirement already and they are playing with different ideas. I have 2 clients I'm working with right now, and we're playing with different ideas in terms of what to do. The question I always ask, are you passionate about this idea? What sector do you want to have your business? Some people don't want to have a business in the alcohol sector where they're selling alcohol. They don't want anything to do with that. So ask yourself, what sector do I want to function in? This idea you're pursuing right now, this idea you're already considering, or this business opportunity you want to buy into, are you passionate about it enough? Can you say in the next 5 years after retirement? Because understand again also that the first 10 years of your life in retirement is very crucial. So what you do in the first physically, you start to set up something that to an extent you've put the needed structure in place where this thing can now function without your physical presence or your physical energy, without you being on ground to physically pursue this. So it is important to ask this question: does my business idea or this opportunity excite me? When you get to an opportunity, first, like for example, you want to buy into a franchise, you want to get a dealership, does it excite you? Set up yourself for another job life in retirement. It is very important that you don't make that same mistake. If you've born with 9 to 5 for the last how many years, because a job is something different from the work you do. The work you do is meant to for the sake of any good pay, help me pay the bills, do a few things. So it is important that you ask yourself these crucial questions, and sometimes be sincere enough to ask, am I going into this business strictly for the money? Sometimes people do not want to call a spade a spade. You get it is important to say, you know what, I've made up my mind, this business opportunity, I'm going to take it because I think it can make me money. It doesn't align with my passion. I don't have any experience, but I'm willing to take the risk with it, and to make me some money, so be it. It is okay. If that's what you want to do, it's fine. But one of the message we're pushing today is that you need to consciously go into retirement knowing what you're doing, and to an extent understanding the consequences of the steps you're going to be taking as you get into retirement, and not get into retirement without clarity, without direction, and then hoping that things will work out. And you try it, it doesn't work, and you begin to wonder what is happening, what has gone wrong. Yeah. So like I said, bear with me if I'm moving pretty fast. There's a lot more I would have said, but we need to go. So finally, as I wrap up, someone once said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. In this part of the world, we are not very good with creating the future. I've noticed in this part of the world, we're very good in praying about the future. We're very good in hoping about the future. We're very good in, what else should I use? Primarily, we're very good about praying about the future and hoping about the future. But the best way to predict the future is to create it. So the question is now, can I create the future? Is it possible to create the kind of productive life you want in retirement from today? The answer to that is yes. It is very possible. And it begins with, first of all, having SMART goals for your life in retirement. Many of us know and understand what SMART is when it comes to setting goals. But then it is essential that you apply it to your planning for your retirement. Your goals for your retirement must be specific. It has to be specific. If possible, attach specific days or what to it. It has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be attainable or achievable. It has to be realistic, and it has to be time-bound. Like I said earlier, the first 10 years of your life after retirement is important. So having SMART goals, you should be able to say, first year when I go into retirement, I will do this. I will set up a business by this time. I will do this by this time. By this, I would have grown my business to this. The business. So you must set up SMART goals. SMART goals are the beginning of an effective plan. if you want to have a plan that would work, it is essential that you begin that plan with SMART goals. So set up SMART goals for your life in retirement, and then create the plan. A plan, like we know, a series of steps and activities along with the cost implication that you want to carry out towards a specific goal. So now you've set the specific goals for how you want your life to be. So you've decided now, I want to set up a business when I go into retirement. Discover and understand what that business should be. Let that business align with your life's purpose, and then create a plan that you can begin to work on even from now. And that's one of the reasons what BPED is all about. BPED, for example, enables you to, first of all, create what we call a roadmap. That roadmap will enable you to decide, okay, this is the line of business I want to go into. BPED will also enable you to begin to save a specific amount towards a specific business that you want to start off at a specific time. So you have that plan, and BPED will also begin to prepare you towards that. All of this is available on the BPED app. If you download it, BPED app can help you begin to make all of these steps. And then you need to take strategic steps daily towards your goal. Goals do not just happen. Goals do not just materialize. The closer your retirement time is coming, the more goals, the more active steps you need to take. So it is important that you take strategic steps, not just steps, strategic steps. And the step will be strategic if you've taken time to align your goals, you've created an effective plan. It's then easier to, on a daily basis, on your to-do list, you make sure you do something about your retirement plan every day. If I'm going to set up a business in retirement, I should be so familiar with the business that I'm looking forward to early retirement. I'm so familiar with what I want to do that when my company says certain people come and go, well, we'll pay you triple of what you should get, I will quickly grab it and move on. But most people cannot take early retirement even when the pay is a lot more, because they do not know what to go into. The fear and the anxiety is still there because people have not engaged yet with the future. So you engage with the future even before you get there. And then you must be deliberate. You must be intentional. You are not hoping. I always like to say, hope is not a strategy. You cannot hope for a productive life in retirement. You cannot hope for it. You must work towards it. You must engage for it. You must be intentional about it, and you must be consistent about it. You must deliberately take steps, practical, strategic steps that is taking you into what you know your productive life in retirement will be like. You should have the clear picture, and then the steps you're going to be taking. If you need to reach out for help, you do so. If you need to talk with a consultant, you do so. If you need to talk, whoever you need to talk to, reach out. Truth be said is, if you're engaging on a daily basis, if you have a very smart plan, the people and the things you need to get involved, you need to engage with, they become easier and clearer to you, and you're able to engage more. Often, when people have no plan, they don't even know what to do. They don't even know where to start from. The confusion is high. So whenever they think about retirement, their heart skips. It's almost like it's doomsday, but it's not. You're supposed to look forward to retirement with a lot of excitement and fun. Yes, it's not like it's going to be fun all the way, like the pictures we see in some of the adverts where retirement about the life, everything is fine. Retirement is far from that, it should be said. Yeah, maybe the first few months you could enjoy that, but after that, your eye will clear, it should be said. So it is important that you're now deliberate, you're intentional, and you're consistent with the plan you've put in place that you need to move you to the next level. So I hope with these few points of mine, as we used to say when we were kids in the debating society, I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince and not confuse you. So the message today, from the overall message here, is that you need to actively have a plan for retirement and begin to work towards it on a daily basis, begin to work towards it with clarity, begin to work towards it with a whole lot of assurance, because you would have taken the time to align it to your purpose, align it to your passion, align it with your expertise, and you're moving on. The future is clearer. You are creating the future, so you're not afraid. You're not afraid to go into it. You're actually creating it. So when you're creating something, you're not afraid what it will be. You're creating what you want. So you can always change it. You can tweak it. You're creating it. You can tweak it. You can adjust it. You can add to it. You can subtract from it. And you can eventually have what you want. Probably in a year from now, in 2 years from now, in 3 years from now, or more. But wherever you are, it's a good time to begin to put together a productive plan that will enable you to be productive in retirement. Thank you very much. I'm going to give way to, we'll ask questions later. After Tubore is done, we'll take all the questions together and then we can begin to engage more. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Obong, thank you very much. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Fantastic session. Learned so much. My job pad is almost full. I have to get another one for Tobore. So I would like to appreciate you. The redundant retiree, the active retiree, and the productive retiree. I never really thought of it from that perspective. But I believe that everybody here would have learned at least something that we can use. Thank you, Mr. Tim.
Thank you, sir.
Without further ado, I would like to introduce the next speaker. But before I do that, I would want to mention that we would have opportunities to take questions, feedback, and comments. But because of time, we are pressed for time, we would want to do that at the end of the session. And so if you check the chat, we have our channels where you can send in your comments, feedback, and questions to us, and they will be properly addressed. I'd like to introduce the next speaker. She's a personal finance coach, an ex-banker, an author. She has written about 3 books, one of which is Make Your Money Make Sense. And she's a senior consultant at Tobore Olumoye Consulting. Please join me as I welcome Tobore Olumoye to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ubong. I'm clapping for myself as this is a Zoom class. It's very hard to get people. It's very hard to get people to Thank you. Thanks, Bipej. Thanks, Ubong. Thanks, Tim. And thanks to everyone on this call. I like to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your data. And thank you for your attention. I'm always talking about money. So all of these 3 things cost money. And I appreciate you spending your money with me this morning. Tim has done a fantastic job of doing the groundwork, really. For many of us, we've begun to ask ourselves the questions. I am going to be very brief about my conversation. I will talk about 3 major aspects. The first part is the 5 stages of retirement. The second part, the numbers you should be bothered about in retirement. And then the last part are a few tips I will try to give within the next few minutes we'll be spending together. Retirement typically has 5 broad stages. The stages, depending on you, for some people it's 4 stages, but most people 5 stages. What are those 5 stages? The first stage is the pre-retirement stage. The second stage is what we call the honeymoon stage. The third stage is the disenchantment or delusional stage. And then the 4th stage is the reorientation stage, and of course, reconciliation and stability stage. What do these mean? Let's start with the what we call the pre-retirement stage. This is the stage where you are not yet retired. You are still at work, but you are envisaging, you believe that you're going to have a glorious retirement. During this stage of your retirement, and for some people, it can be about 5 to 15 years before retirement, they begin to envisage the retirement of their dreams. For those who are exposed, for those who are learned, for those who have the opportunity, like the opportunity you have here and now, they begin to have what we call a solid retirement plan. They begin to put in a solid retirement plan in place. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who spends 15 years putting a solid retirement plan in place cannot be compared to the man who spent 15 days or 15 months putting a plan in place. So this is a pre-retirement stage. This is a stage where, for those of us, when we used to be in banking, and by the way, did I retire from banking? I ran from banking. I took off. They nearly killed me away for banking. But I serve a living God and I escaped. I jackpot. I moved. But I remember before then, when it became clear to me that I was going to take on not an early retirement, I didn't have the option of early retirement. When I knew I was going to resign my job, when I knew I was going to leave my job and start something else, when I had a confirmation date from my family and I knew there was a date I was going to leave, no one else knew the date. In fact, even my house, they didn't know the exact date. My husband knew much later. About 1 year before that date, I was at such glorious peace that my office people were beginning to suspect me. When they are angry, I would just smile and say, don't worry, it will pass. It's just a phase. The day I resigned, all of them, they almost killed me because they were like, no wonder you were at peace. No wonder you were so calm. You were planning to escape. And that's what happens in the pre-retirement stage. You have the vision in your mind. You have something, the idea of what your retirement is going to be, and you begin to plan towards it, meaning that you're going to be putting numbers on paper. The second stage is the real stage. Now you have retired. Liberation has come. You are in the honeymoon phase. For people, and by the way, as I'm talking about this, for those of you who are married, who can still remember before you got married, you can tie some things to this. Pre-retirement is like courtship, where you're still toasting, life is sweet. You have an idea of how beautiful marriage will be, let's not go there. That's the pre-retirement. The retirement, now you are married. Oh, the glorious feeling, the honeymoon feeling, the feeling that, yes, hey, so I can make it, so I can escape. I am a retiree. I can relax. Almost see me sleep. So I don't need to get in traffic at 4 o'clock. So nobody will tell me to send monthly reports. No small child will come and be talking to me anyhow. Oh my word, this is the life. And what typically happens during this stage, you will begin to flinch, you begin to groove, you go from place to place, you sleep in bed, you put on TV. TV is usually what suffers the most. You put on TV, you watch, you are on your phone, you are catching up, you are making long calls, you sleep at any time, wake up at any time. Exactly like your typical honeymoon. But guess what? Even for people who have worked for 20 years, 30 years, who say, you know what, the day I retire, I will sleep for 3 months, I will not wake up. This phase does not last too long, especially for people who are very productive, people who are cerebral, people who have been in corporate organizations or in any form of organization, and they have worked consistently for years. You will find out that your brain is wired to do. Your brain is not wired to die. You will get tired of the honeymoon stage, exactly like what happens in marriage. The honeymoon is supposed to be a short period. The honeymoon is supposed to wean you into the reality, and that's what happens in retirement. I remember when I quit my job, for the first 2 months, although my case was a bit different, I left from banking. Banking, even if you sleep for 10 years, you will not recover. I kept lying in bed, but I have such an overactive imagination. I couldn't even really rest because I also knew I had work to do. But for a normal person who retires, you will sleep, you will rest. Your body needs to detox from that environment. But the next stage is lurking just around the corner. And guess what that stage is? Stage 3 of retirement is what we call the disenchantment stage. This is the stage where, like with marriage, you find out, is this the woman I married? All of this packaging, all of these things. So they go off. What is this I married? Oh my word. For some people, pregnancies have begun to occur. For some people, you are beginning to stay for much longer hours together. Same with retirement. You're beginning to spend a lot more time with yourself, thinking. You're beginning to spend more time in the spaces of people. Boredom begins to kick in. You become disenchanted. You're like, okay, yes, I have time on my hands. So what? What's next? This is not what I I plan for, yes, I'm retired, and this is just 6 months into retirement, and you're looking at 30 years in retirement, looking at 25 years in retirement, then you begin to get scared. And for some people, if you do not begin to quickly fix this stage, this is the stage where depression can come in. The feeling of, I am not worthy. My children are grown. My children have left the nest. Nobody is calling me for advice. I'm not sending mails to anybody. I'm not issuing queries. Nobody is knocking on my doors anymore. I am suddenly without value. What am I living for? This is the stage where you begin to fear that if I die today, this one, I'm no longer providing money for people. Nobody will even miss me. If you do not quickly fix those feelings, if you do not quickly get out of the disenchantment stage, depression can set in, and if not properly handled, even death can occur. And if you check your history of people, your contacts, you'll find that very few people actually come out of the disenchantment stage. Many people spend the rest of their retirement disenchanted. But if you're successful and you do the right thing, you will get out of disenchantment stage very, very quickly. And for some people, you may never spend a lot of time there. For instance, I didn't spend much time in it. I don't think I ever had a disenchantment stage because there was just a lot of work to do because I planned my exit. When you leave the disenchantment stage, you get into the fourth stage. This is the reorientation stage. In fact, this is the stage that is retirement, where you are like, okay, yes, I am a retiree. Yes, this is what I need to do. Coming out of all of that disenchantment, I need to begin to work. I mean, I have 30 years experience. I have children who are graduates. I have a spouse who is a chairman of a board. Oh, I am a widow. Oh, I am a widower. Oh, I have a brain that is still on fire. This is the time to get to work. I need to begin to give back to society. But even more importantly, I need to begin to achieve my real purpose. In this stage of reorientation, your mind begins to shift and then you start to focus. This is where the drive comes in. For people who are in reorientation stage, when you see them in retirement, you'll be like, this man's ginger is even more than when he was working. He's all over the place. I didn't know Baba understood Facebook like this. See Papa creating content. Papa don't turn blogger, etc., etc. You begin to see the drive. There's a rejuvenation. In reorientation stage, you get back yourself and then you get to work. You begin to understand that there's something called legacy and you understand that you don't have too much time left. You get to work, you hit the ground running, and you become the retiree of your dreams. And if you get the stage right, the rest of your retirement will be spent in the stage called reconciliation and stability stage. This is the stage where you are an established retiree. And depending on how long you last, you are now contented, you have a structure, you have a plan. Everything that will happen till you die is clearly spelled out. Your legacy issues are all in place. These are the 5 stages of retirement. And for everyone on this call, I will be so delighted if you can settle down and ensure that you yourself get into these 5 stages, understanding that they will come. They will happen. How much time you spend on each stage, how much time you spend dwelling in each of those spaces will be totally dependent on you. Even if you have a health challenge, your retirement is beyond the physical. Because remember, as you grow older, you become frail, but your mind is still within your control. If you put the right plans in place, you can overcome all of those challenges. So those are the 5 stages of retirement. And they form the basis of most of the conversations we're going to be having here today. The next thing we will be talking about is your retirement numbers. Remember that biro I asked you to bring out that time and that piece of paper. This is the time to use them. Unfortunately, we're not in a live class. If we're in a live class, I will show you some simple numbers, but you can do those numbers on your own. Retirement requires a lot of expenditure. You will spend money in retirement. You will spend a lot of time in retirement if you do not die early. Now we're going to look at some of the numbers. And the numbers we'll be looking at will be around monthly numbers, yearly numbers, health numbers, and history numbers. Let's talk about monthly numbers. But before we even start talking about numbers at all, if you're on this call, on the chat box, if you can just engage me for a few minutes. When would you like to die? Just humor me. I want to see some numbers. Nigerians, I can guess. But when would you like to die? If you had your say, if all you wished for could come through, what would be your ideal death age? Bearing in mind, of course, I'm waiting, nobody wants to die here. I've not seen any age here. When would you like to die? But remember, before you start typing that, fantastic, I see 98. Remember that, okay, 100, 97, awesome. So I'm seeing people, all of you here want to spend about 40 years in retirement, fantastic stuff. Between 85 and 90, let's hold those. So let's say 90 years. Do you know what that means? Do you know what those 90 years that you're planning to live on Earth mean? They mean that you're going to spend, let's hold 90 is a nice round figure. 100, I will leave 100 now. Let me stick to 90 because at 90, you may still have some teeth left. Your children may still be alive to keep you company. A few of your friends may still be alive, and your knees may still be able to hold you up to dance to the rumba. So let's assume 90. What does this mean? At 60, you are going to retire, whether you like it or not. You may be a lecturer and they'll tell you retire at 65, but please understand that at 60, your body begins to shut down. Your body begins to say, you know what? All of this nonsense you've been doing to me all these years, I need to start going slowly. That's what your body says, and you better listen to your body. Even if you are not going to full retirement, at 60, your body begins to say, my productivity will reduce as long as per physical activity. Your employers know this, and that is why they are saying, at 60 years, you have tried. We too, we have tried. Come and be going. What does that mean? It means you are retiring at 60, you are dying at 90, you have 30 years to spend on retirement. What numbers will you be dealing with in those 90 years? You will be dealing with some monthly numbers. What are examples of these monthly numbers? If someone can help me in the chat box now. How much do you think you will spend every month in retirement? Just an idea. It's just you and your sugar pie. You're done with paying children's school fees. You're done with school runs. You just have one car for you, one car for your wife. You have a driver, a gardener. One little child from the village has come to stay with you because you cannot run up and down those stairs you built in that your duplex. So please, 120 at least. 120 is for you. So you and your sugar, but if you have your sugar banana, will be about 240,000. So I say 120. Is there any other person who wants to encourage us with their numbers? 500K, fantastic. 500K for you and your sugar pie, or 500K for only you. So let's assume 500K is for only you. Okay. What are you going to spend this money on? Let's look at feeding. And the reason I'm going to do this is because many of us, many retirees, do not understand how much they will spend in retirement. If we say feeding, know that as you get older, the quality of your food will change. Your doctors will begin to conspire against you and say you can no longer eat carbohydrates and fats and oils. You should be doing more vegetables. Even the fruits, you can only eat selected fruits. You also are going to be needing supplements. Then they'll tell you can do exercises, you need to do this and that. All of those things they're calling, if you check, they all cost money. So you're going to spend feeding. Let's say your daily food allocation is 2,000 naira, for example, for you and your sugar pie. I doubt this is correct. So it's 2,000. Let's deal with one person, 2,000 naira per person. Medication, I'll use my mom as an example. My mother's hypertensive medication alone in a month is about 12,500, plus her other supplements, let's say 15,000 naira, right? So if we say, is anybody calculating with us? So let's say we're on 2,000 for feeding per day, which comes to 60,000 naira on feeding in a month, right? Are you unmuted? So I can't tell. If you can chat with me, 60,000. Then medication, let's assume 15,000 on supplements and so on. So we have plus 15,000 naira on supplements. How much do you think you will need to fuel your generator, fuel your car, maintain the car you have, et cetera, et cetera? It comes to about 50,000 a month, right? You might say it's not that high, but you know you will change your tires once a year or once in 2 years. You know you change your battery once a year or once in 2 years. You're going to be servicing that car every 6 weeks. You have a generator, et cetera, et cetera. When you add those numbers, believe me, it gets to at least 50,000 naira every month. You will belong to organizations like church organizations and so on and so forth. You will host people because you are now a retiree. People will come to your house. You can't be looking at them. So let's say entertainment is at least 10,000 naira, right? And then you have social gatherings, social activities, maybe another 20,000 naira. And by the way, this is in today's money. We're not looking at inflation now. So we've got to about 155,000 naira. You will go to the hospital. If you are on some HMO program, that's fine, but you will pay for it, except you work for an organization that will cover your medicals for life. Even if at the time you retire, they say they will cover it for life, how do you know that that organization will remain alive while you are alive? So you need to back that into your plan and say, okay, every month I need to see the doctor, I need to put aside money for medical emergencies, etc. You will factor that in as well. If you say, okay, once a month, once a year, I'm going to travel abroad, how much would this come to every month? If, let's say you want to go to the UK, you are going to need at least 1.5 million for that trip. It means that you need at least 120,000, 125,000 every month. You will add it. You will add it to this, your 155 that you have already got, and get an amount. And you will begin to see that for your retirement, as at today, you already need a minimum of 300,000 naira, minimum per person. That is the number you are going to be working with before you retire, because that money, you need to put it aside today. Why? When you retire, inflation would have impacted. And if you're using headline inflation rates of 15, 16%, you know what that means. But begin to put that money at the back of your mind that this is what you need every month. So for those of you who say you want to live to 90 years, if we assume 300,000 naira every month for retirement, in retirement, and you are going to last for 30 years, it means you need at least 108 million naira in your retirement, liquidity retirement account. You need to understand those numbers. Therefore, what does this mean? The question you're going to be asking yourself, if I don't have this money before I retire, where will the money come from when I retire? Where is it going to? What is going to be giving me 300,000 naira every month in retirement, or the equivalent of 300,000 naira in 15 years? What is going to be giving me 700,000 naira every month? In case you think retirement planning is a joke, these are the numbers that drive it. You need to consider your numbers around lifestyle. What is the lifestyle you have in your mind for your retirement? What do you want to be doing every day you wake up? Because when you retire, you will wake up. What will you do morning till night? I see retirees in Nigeria and my heart bleeds. I see retirees abroad and my heart bleeds. Sometimes they get on the bus and you're like, hey, who allowed this grandpapa to the waka for road? Which kind of problem is it? Or sometimes you see them trying to cross the road. And why won't this man just go to the village and relax? Why is he suffering on the streets of the city? That is what happens when your retirement is not the kind of retirement of your dreams. But if you want the retirement of your dreams, you need to understand the daily activities and the daily income. Another issue you need to realize is that when you retire, you're going to have a lot of family dependence. Not in all cases are all children financially successful. You need to plan for those kinds of exigencies. What if my child has a crisis? The child is going to fall back to you because you're a parent. We are totally against, and we pray severely against our children depending on us in old age. But what if it does happen? You must have a plan for those kinds of emergencies. What if your spouse is incapacitated? You must have a plan for those kind of emergencies. When you retire, do you plan to have a vacation every month or every other year? What do you have planned? And someone has asked me, what about graduations and weddings, naming ceremonies? See, when you retire, people assume you don't have any other work on this earth, and they will invite you. Sometimes you are the oldest person in the family. There are duties you need to perform. In the village, in the town council, see, there's work. But you need to sit down and understand and ask yourself, what do these things mean and how much will they cost me? You need to also look at your yearly numbers. There are some things that will happen once a year. Some things will happen once a month. Some things will happen weekly. All of those yearly numbers. So for instance, if you say I will travel abroad only once a year, what is it going to cost you? So that you factor that amount and back it out. We're not going into details of products to use, how to negotiate those products and how to allot. We simply don't have that amount of time. But you need to have at the back of your mind that that is what is going to happen when you retire. The next set of numbers you are going to need to look at are your health numbers. On your piece of paper, please just note it in case I forget to mention it later. Please find out. Ask your parents, ask your uncles, ask your aunts if they are still alive. At what age did my father die if you didn't meet him? At what age did my mother die? What did my mother die of? What did my father die of? Now move back one more generation. At what age did my grandmother die? At what age did my grandfather die? What did my grandfather die of? What did my grandmother die of? Step back again. My great-grandparents. There's a reason you are doing this. You are trying to trace your family history. Why? Because it will affect your finances. I'll give you an example. My paternal let's put it this way. My husband's maternal grandfather, meaning therefore my husband's mother's father, died in the farm when he was going to the farm, he died. He slumped and died. This did not happen recently. This happened long ago when my mother-in-law was still very young. How did he die? They said he was going to the farm, he slumped and blood was coming out of his ears. They had no idea what it was. But today we know that that is a blood pressure related death. My husband's family has a history of hypertension. My mother's family has a history of hypertension. My children will be interested in hypertension because it runs along both lines. I know what killed my father. I know what killed my grandfather. I know what killed my great-grandfather. I can see a trend. I know what killed my grandmother. I know what killed my great-grandmother. I can see a trend. Do you? Once you understand the trend, you need to understand that it will affect your health numbers and you must begin to protect yourself against those. So for example, if you had a case of prostate-related death or cancer-related death, you need to know that your yearly budget must cover periodic medical examinations, it must cover scans, it must cover medication to protect yourself, it must cover special diets to protect yourself against those. All of those special diets, special medication, all these things I'm saying cost money. It will affect your monthly budget. And you need to understand that as you get into retirement, those numbers begin to shift significantly. Those are some of the health numbers you need to know. You need to understand and know the implication of your BMI. You need to understand your blood pressure readings, your sugar level readings, your pulse rate, all of those things. Why? Because if they are beginning to trend upwards, what does it mean? How can I fight it? And every fight that has to do with medicine requires money. And I will wrap up by saying this. With all due respect to all of us, especially in Nigeria, our religious exclamations are not a strategy. I asked somebody, I had this financial planning session with a client, and the numbers were calling numbers. The next thing I asked her, do you have a retirement plan for, a risk plan for so and so event? And she said, yes, she had one. I was so excited, I was tripping. And she said, what? I said she has anointing oil. Anointing oil. that is her risk plan. Please, if you're on this call and your risk plan is anointing oil, please know that you don't have a risk. If your risk plan is I rebuke and I cast and I bind, you don't have a plan. Please, the plan we're talking about here are plans that are smart plans. They're plans that are measurable. They are real, tangible plans. So you need to look at all of those numbers, the age of your ancestors, your yearly health, monthly lifestyle numbers, all of those are very important numbers that you need because they will drive your retirement plans with real figures. Finally, I just want to say this before we open up the lines for questions. There are a few tips I will give you about retirement. Number one, get rid of the delusion that you are young and retirement is far. Please just rebuke it. I remember very clearly when my mother was 40 years old. I remember. Why do I say that? I baked my mother's 40th birthday cake. I baked it, I iced it, I decorated it. I remember the cloth she was wearing. Today, I am 44 years old. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. As at the time I was making my mother's cake, if you told me you were 30 years, you sounded like an ancestor. You sounded then, but sometimes I hear my children say, Mommy, this man says he's 25. He's old. And I look at them, I say, they don't bother talking about they feel we are fossils. What does that mean? You see that old age that we're talking about, it's not far again. You're living it. You are inside the old age, that retirement. And to make it even more obvious, ask yourself, if you're in paid employment, how many salaries do I have to retirement? How many, really? Maybe 120 salaries, maybe 150, maybe 100, maybe 60. Are you looking at the numbers of Collin sense? How much of those salaries are you going to put aside? For which retirement? Ogbeni, there's work to be done, and it is urgent work. So take away the mindset that retirement is far and understand that it is near, it is urgent, and it is a long time. Retirement is going to be long. So if you've looked at all of these numbers, you've been listening to what we've been saying, and there's a way it's doing your body, as we say in Nigeria, you're not feeling that this retirement thing is for you. You've looked at all the money you can possibly save when you retire. You've looked at your retirement savings account. You've looked at your investment portfolio, and you're looking like, I'm seeing only like 5 million inside that place. Meanwhile, we say you need 105 million. You can go back to your creator, the person that you told you wanted to stay to 100 years. You can go back to him. He's a listening God. And tell him, see, Baba God, when I said I wanted to live to 100 years, 90 years, I was joking. Now I'm looking at the numbers. When I get to 65, please call me. He will call you so that your exit will be glorious. Your retirement will be short but straight to the point. You will leave a legacy that is worthy of remembering. Please, if you know you don't have plans for a retirement, don't pray for a retirement. If you know you cannot put the retirement of your dreams into action, don't pray for a long life. There's nothing wrong with living till 65, 62, 61, 70. 71. Let's be a bit calm about it. Go back, renegotiate your death age and plan within the age you can afford. Number 2 tip, carry your family members along. I'm seeing all of you on this call, and you sound and look like people who care about their retirements. All of this work you're doing will be a waste of time if your dependents are dragging you back. Your dependents are, you know them. The people you cannot say no to, your urgent 2K family members, you know them. Why are you the only one learning? Why aren't they learning with you? You learn all of this, and tomorrow they make a request, you cannot say no. What happens to all of your investments? What happens to all of your savings? What is going to happen to your retirement? They will drag you along with them. A man who has a financial plan is like a man standing by the edge of the pit. But the dependents and the family, especially with the black race, are people inside the pit, and they are stretching out their hand. You are looking at their faces. They are your family. They are your friends. They are your loved ones. You cannot say you will not help. So you lean down to help them. But if they are more than you, If they are stronger than you, if the edge of the pit is slippery, you will be right there in the pit with them. So as you grow, ensure that you carry your family members along with you. Tip number 3, the world is changing, full stop. Change with it, full stop. You cannot use ancient principles, ancient methods in a new world. I hear some people say, all these people social media thing, I don't even know what you people are doing. You are still in universe. They are planning to go to metaverse. Before you know, they'll go to Marinverse. And what are you doing? You will be, that metaverse they're talking about in the future is where your retirement will be. I say it does not concern you. It concerns you. You must change. The customers that you are planning to have in your retirement are the people who are being born today. And you say this new generation, you don't understand them. Please understand them, because they're the ones that will be buying your market. They are telling you that in another 30 years, you will not be holding your phone like this. You will be doing like this and everything will appear. And you say, oh, it's witchcraft, I rebuke. You are busy rebuking. But that is the future you say you want to be inside. You say you want to live to 90 years. Calculate 90 years. They are telling you now that your avatar will be the one trading while you are sitting here. You say you will not have an avatar. Oh. Anyway, tip number 3, the world is changing. Prepare to change with it. There are 5 tips. Tip number 4, sell, full stop, S-E-L-L. S-O-E-L-O-L. Sell, sell. You are a salesman. You were created as a salesperson. When you speak, you are selling. When you do not speak, you are selling. When people look at you, you are selling. When people don't look at you, you are selling. The world is everywhere now. You are in the world. Everything is in one place. Use that opportunity to sell. You are selling your personal brand. You're selling your business. You're selling your ideas. You're selling your thoughts. You are selling. If you want to have a glorious retirement, you need to understand the value of sales. I hear people saying, I'm not a salesman. You are a salesman. You're just a poor salesman. Everyone is a salesman. Our people have a saying that when you enter a house, it is a child that stretches out his hand, you carry first. What does that mean? That even children sell to us. As parents, children sell to us. As school owners, as business owners, as employees, as employers, as supervisors, we are constantly selling. Now you need to be very deliberate about your sales process, because when you retire, you are going to be doing a lot more selling. How you sell will directly affect the quality of your revenue. Finally, tip number 5, to wrap up all I have been saying, there's help. Stop being proud. You don't know it all. You don't. There are people who know it better than you. There are people who have done it. There are people who have gone ahead of you. There are people, that thing you are struggling with, there are people who have conquered it. They've moved on. When I quit my job, in my mind, if you see my first complimentary card, fire. If you see the card, oh my word. I had plans now. If you see my office, guess what? Today, I don't go to the office anymore. I work from home. Guess what? The complimentary card, that first one, I've kept it. It's in my archives. The world has moved on. When I first started, I had plans. You need to, but all of those plans, I have had to do a major pivot. Why? Because I sat in an office and had an idea of how my business will be. Then I got into the world and my business showed me what the business world meant, even with all of my experience. Because I didn't start actively doing, I wasn't learning from other people. I felt that, oh, my experience was the best. I knew it all. I knew what I wanted. It was very clear. But I came out, I learned a few lessons, and then I humbled myself and I sat at the feet of masters. Most of my masters, I speak better than them. Most of my masters, I am wealthier than them. Most of my masters, if they write here, you cannot read it. Most of my masters did not go to school, but I have several masters. I have masters who teach me personal branding. I have masters who teach me speaking. I have masters who teach me business finance. I am constantly learning. Every month, I don't spend anything less than 50,000 naira learning and learning. Do you really believe that at the end of 5 years, I will be the same? I cannot be the same. I am on Instagram every day. There's, oh, this course is there. Sometimes the course, I can even teach it, but I'll go and learn. Why? Because I want to see how the new generation is doing things. I hear, oh, there's a training. I will learn. Why? Because I need those resources. Most of the times I open the resources, I already know, but I see the packaging is different. I see the language is different. I buy from the younger generation because the way they speak is different. I buy from the older generation because they are steeped in wisdom. You must get help. If not, you will struggle unnecessarily. Ladies and gentlemen, these are my 5 tips for you. Those are the numbers I have for you. And those are the 5 stages of retirement. And like Tim said, I do hope that with these few points, you are ready to take the decision to the next step and begin to implement to get the retirement of your dreams. Thank you very much for your time. And it's over to you, Ubong.
Wow. Thank you, Tobure. Honestly, let me give you a round of applause. You know, fantastic. You shook so much data, so much information to absorb. You know, when you said too many things, then you decided to shake one table about retirement health planning has to do with anointing oil. I said, Tobore, were you born close to the motor park? You know, I was born in Orile. I'm just thinking, maybe you were born around that Ajegule area, you know. I'm suspecting you. But I would like to say this, Tobore, you've just hit the nail on the head. All these things, I have to rewatch these 2 sessions to be able to fully grasp all the available information. So thank you very much, Tobore. The floor is open for questions. We have some people have been sending in questions. And if you have not sent your own question, you can send it now. Questions, comments, and feedback are welcomed, please, so we can wrap up. So I'll just give us about 30 seconds to send in more questions, and then we'll get the 2 facilitators to go ahead and answer those questions for us. 30 seconds. Yes, but what is the question? Who is answering the question?
I can, okay. I can answer if you're ready. We can start.
Okay. No, please hold up.
Okay.
I'm going through the chat so I can get some of the questions out. So
there's a question there. I think that's directed at probably Tobore would answer that. Can someone age 25 to 30 plan for retirement? Or is that too early?
Okay, so thank you very much, Tim. Thanks, Ubong. I will just say it very straight up. Yes, it's someone who is 25 years should start planning for retirement. In fact, your ideal age to start planning for retirement is the day you are born. Ideally, your parents should have put something in place for you, but more realistically is the day, from the first day you start earning, from the first day you start working. And the assumption is that at 20, when you turn 20, you should set up your retirement plan. Why? So that as you begin to put money aside, it begins to fight inflation. If you put it in a robust retirement plan, if you put it in a robust retirement vehicle, the money begins to enjoy that fantastic phenomenon called compound interest. That's your 20,000 you're putting aside today. You will not believe what it will be in 40 years' time. That 10,000 you're putting aside every month, now that you're 20, in 40 years, you will not believe what it is. So that's at 20 is the ideal age to start. But I like to say, if you're a nice parent, you should actually give your child a cushion, set up a trust fund that can segue itself into a retirement plan. But realistically, 20 years. So 25 is certainly not too old. Thanks, Ubong.
You're welcome. Thank you. The next question is, do you have a package plan for intending retirees on how to plan their retirement in case they do not have a plan in place? I think Tim should take that.
Okay, so part of what we have in place is the BPEG platform. First of all, BPEG is an app that allows you to...
This is the first one, so I'm scrolling back.
Yeah, so first of all, for that question, BPEG is a package we have in place for people generally who want to move from paid employment to self-employment. It also covers for people who are going into retirement. So you download the app, you draw up what we call your roadmap. So the roadmap basically will tell you, will help you decide by what time I'm going to leave paid employment. In this case, you already know because it's retirement. So you can see I'm living in 5 years, in 10 years. It will also help you decide, will ask you questions to ask you, for you to answer, saying, this is the line of business I would like to do. And then you start saving towards it. And while you are saving towards that specific business, there's what we call the transitional trainings. It's over a 15 model training videos that you can watch that can begin to prepare you for life outside paid employment. So you, of course, the transitional video is not free, but it's not so expensive. So you get on the app, you download, you do your roadmap, you start your savings, and of course the savings will get interest. So you're, for example, you say I'm going to save 10 million towards my business in 5 years. So you decide what specific amount you're going to be saving on a monthly basis towards that business. And while you are saving, you engage in transitional training, and then at some point you can also engage with some of our consultants on the app. But also you can reach out to us at info.bpage.com and we can have one-on-one sessions if needed, especially if you're already very close to retirement and you want a very quick, specific retirement plan. We can sit down and put that together. So it's either you're downloading the app and working with that, or we could get one or two of our consultants to work with you directly. So that's, yes, Subang, is that okay? Subang, you're mute.
Mute.
Yes. Okay.
Apologies, I didn't actually know I was on mute. Thank you very much, Tim. Somebody else sent in a question. I'm trying to go to the chats just so that I can have it handy.
Okay, there's a question here. Yes, I'd like to take.
Yeah, there's a question here is, with retirement, where do you start from, the numbers or the passion? I think
Tobore, do you want to go first?
Tobore should take that. Yeah.
Oh, I would. Okay. So here's a rule of thumb. Your okay. Let's start from the other way. Passion is energy. Passion is fuel. You need to eat before you can have passion. And for you to eat, you must have money to buy the food.
She's gone.
So,
okay, Tim.
She's back.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, did you lose me for a minute?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I was saying that it's usually a tricky question, but to make it very easy for you to understand, passion is energy, passion is fire. And you need to eat food to be able to fuel that energy. And to eat food, you need to buy food. And to buy food, you need money. And to get money, you need to have it, right? It's always good to have some money to fuel your passion. If not, you will be a miserably passionate person or a passionately miserable person. You can have a lot of money. You don't have any passion. You can get people who are passionate to drive an idea. I'll give you a very simple example. I had a boss. He was 53 or so. One day he called me into his office, 53-year-old man. He called me. I said, Tokes. He calls me Tokes. He said, Tokes, I have this idea. I want to go and buy form to become a lawyer. That he would like to be a lawyer. I said, lawyer. He said, yes, that he's always been passionate about law. I saw a guy, you are 54 years. You are still working in bank. You want to be a lawyer. You have children in secondary school. I said, oh yes, that he's always dreamt of wearing the wig. I said, how much of your children's school fees have you not paid? He said he called, his children were still in secondary school. And I said to him, can you hold on with that passion of becoming a lawyer first and focus on earning salary to pay these children's school fees? If you are a very wealthy man, even if you don't want to be a lawyer, if you have a lot of money, the lawyer, all the lawyers in school will come and put a wig on your head and call you lawyer. It is called an honorary degree. They will give it to you. Then you can, at your leisure, study law. You can even go back to the classroom when you have retired, when you go and chase that passion later. But for now, you need to put food on the table of these kids. You even need money to pay for the lawyer degree. What do they call that? Law LBB. You need money to go and pay for the law degree. I don't understand. Do you have the money? He said no, but he likes the idea. And I said, okay, please hold on, make money with the idea. The money will fund the idea later. So to me, you must have some money, but to consistently drive the generation of funds, you need passion. So have some money, have some passion. Later on, your passion will generate money, but your money needs to fuel the passion first. Of course, I'll always be biased to saying money first. I don't know if Tim will say you need passion.
Okay, so so let me give my view of it. So for me, I think realistically, answer that question, passion or money, which comes first for retirement. So I think realistically, it's not a matter of which will come first or not. Because first of all, if we look at where you really are, you're presently working, you have a steady paying job. So to an extent, money is not really an issue. So you're not trying to say, make me make money first. You're already working. You get it? So you already have a job running. So and then when it comes to the passion, we're talking about, I believe you're talking about a passion that you want to be able to monetize. Not just the passion you want to do it out of, like the example you gave, that man just wanted to be a liar. I'm sure he wasn't planning to make any money. That's a kind of active retiree. He's not interested in being productive with that law thing. He just wanted to do it. So, but when we're talking about passion that you intend to monetize, it's a different ball game. It's slightly different. So if I'm saying I'm already working, I'm going to go into retirement. Should I look at money or should I look at passion? Your money is already coming in steady. So the question is, do you know your passion enough to then begin to put the plans in place to monetize it when you go into retirement? Because we all can monetize our passion if you understand how to go about it. So the key thing is discover your passion and monetize it. So to say which will come first, money or passion, I feel the truth is that money is already coming in for you. Because I'm assuming that if you're saying you want to retire, you definitely are working. So if you're working, you're definitely earning something. So it means that the money part is largely settled. So it's now how to monetize your passion and push some of these monies you have towards that passion to help it also begin to generate you more money. So truly, in a way, it begins with the money, the passion picks over, and then more money comes out of it. Yeah. So that's my answer to that.
Thank you very much, Tim. Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe please touch on the question, how do I identify what I'm passionate about? Okay. And then align with it with my purpose. Yeah.
Yes, I like talking about that because I personally have seen money. I personally have learned how to monetize passion and create it, align it with your purpose and all of that. So how do I know what my passions are, right? That's the question. So, sorry, could you
yes, how do you identify it? Yes, sir.
How do I identify? So first of all, like I said when I was talking, we don't create our passions. We simply discover or identify them. So how do I identify my passion? As the word says, when you talk about passion, you talk about excitement, you talk about energy, you talk about what puts me in my elements. As simple as what are the things I enjoy doing. For example, I use myself. You see what I'm doing now? I can decide to stalk for the next 5 hours. I won't complain. Some persons do not like talking like I do. My life's purpose is to build lives and organization to fulfill that God's given dream. I support people in building them up to be able to achieve what, and based on that, some of the things I'm passionate about, I enjoy talking. I enjoy giving, let me say lectures, let me use the word lectures, but I enjoy talking, I enjoy interacting with people. So you need to look at what are the things you enjoy doing. Sometimes it could be things that you take for granted, things that you never thought money could come out of it. So you need to go to look at it. Sometimes also you need to sometimes ask people around you what their view of you is. What do they think you enjoy? Because most often, not everybody has enough self-awareness to be able to understand themselves and know, okay, this is who I am. So sometimes you might reach out for external help to say, those who are close to you, you can ask them questions. What do you think are my passions? And you could begin to draw ideas from them. But most especially, you need to pay attention to the things you enjoy doing. The things that you generally are willing to do, even if you are not paid. You know, typically, like we say, you could sit down and ask yourself, if I have all the monies in the world today, I do not need to work for money or anything. What are those things you would still like to do? You don't need to work. There's no reason for work. You have $5 trillion kept away somewhere. You can't finish $5 trillion about what do you want to buy, what do you want to eat, you get. So, but what is that one thing? In fact, where would you then rather put the money? What is that one thing you would still want to do and enjoy doing? So those little things are things you begin to pay attention to. Sometimes if you've been in a very mundane situation for a while where you've not, you've been, for example, in a 9 to 5 for a long time, that doesn't have anything to do with your passion. You could not quickly be able to identify your passions. So it is important to pay close attention to yourself. Things that get you excited, pay attention to them. Things that turn you off. If I walk into an organization, practical example, as a Christian, if I walk into a church, the first things I personally notice is not how good the choir can sing. It's not how good the ushers are dressed. What I quickly notice is how organized they are. I can quickly tell you this place is not organized. You know, those things draw attention to me quickly. So the things you like, the problems you quickly identify, the things people do not do well that you quickly identify, these are pointers to your passion. So once you can begin to pay attention to them, over time, you will begin to get more familiar. Remember, like I said, you discover your passion, you do not create it, you discover it. So over time, as you pay attention to them, you become more familiar with them and understand that, okay, this is my area. You find that whenever these things are talked about, you get excited. Whenever these things are mentioned, your eyes lit up and you are willing to go for it. Like when you talk about passion and purpose now, I was willing to jump in quickly. And let me say something about it. Let me say something about this. You get? So something like that. So pay attention to the things you enjoy doing and to the things you quickly notice that sometimes other people do not. That's a major way to begin to understand or discover your areas of passions. Of course, there are more things to go about it as you work on, but that's the majorly what is involved. Mr. Obang, am I good?
Thank you very much, Tim. That would be it for us. We've taken comments. We acknowledge your comments. We acknowledge your feedback. Please, if you have more of them, please send them in. On the chat description box, we have channels being listed. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the participants. As at last check, we were about 21 of us. That means a lot of the people who logged on from when we started actually stayed to the very end. You deserve a round of applause for all you all. I'd like to thank the facilitators, Timothy, Kide, and Togore. Thank you for making our time to bless us with this powerful, eye-opening sessions. I'd like to thank the organizers of this event, the entire team, BIP Edge, everybody who worked behind the scenes to make this happen. Please don't forget, whatever stage you are at your retirement planning, we are there to assist you. You can reach out to BIP Edge because retirement planning is something everybody should be involved in. Even if you don't have a plan, BIP Edge can still work with you to create a plan. So please reach out to us. Download the app. The link is in the description box. Follow us on our social media channels, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. Please spread the word too. And thank you once again for giving us your time. Some other events will come up by next month, and we hope to see you and engage you on a larger platform and a larger scale. So thank you once again, and